In the far future, humans and alien species shared the stars, but trust was still rare. Wars had ended, but peace was thin. On a burning battlefield near the edge of the galaxy, a human soldier named Jason Cole fought to save a group of alien diplomats under attack. Among them was Princess Lyria, a highborn royal from the planet Zalara, home to the mysterious Triplet sisters known as the Soulbound Three. Lyria was tall, with glowing silver eyes and skin that shimmered like moonlight. She looked calm even in the middle of chaos. Jason had never seen anyone like her before. He pulled her out of danger as energy blasts flew past them. "You saved me," Lyria said quietly, once they reached safety. Jason looked into her eyes. "I'd do it again." That moment changed everything. Days passed. Jason stayed close to the Zillaron royal ship, guarding it until repairs were complete. Lyria spoke to him every evening. She was curious about Earth, about his people, and about him. They laughed, argued, and slowly, something powerful grew between them. Jason fell in love. He didn't understand everything about her culture, but he didn't care. Her voice was music to him. Her presence gave him peace. So one night, under the twin moons of a quiet moon base, Jason knelt down and said the words, "Lyria, will you marry me?" Silence followed. Lyria didn't speak. Her beautiful eyes widened. Her lips parted, but no words came. Then she stepped back slowly and whispered, "Human, you can't just marry me." Jason's smile faded. "Why not? T, I love you." "You don't understand," she said. "I am not one. I am three." "What?" "I am part of a triad. My soul is bound with my sisters. Okay? We are one heart and three bodies. If you marry me, okay, you marry them too." Jason froze. "What does that even mean?" Her voice was soft. "You saved me, yes? But saving me means waking the bond. My sisters are already on their way. They will come, and they will decide if you are worthy." Jason didn't know what to say. Was this some alien custom? Was it a test? But it wasn't a joke. So the next day, 2 ships landed outside the base. From them stepped a woman who looked just like Lyria, but their eyes were different. One had sharp warrior eyes that burned like fire. Name was Velra. The other walked without sound, her face calm and cold. She didn't speak a word. Her name was Syra. Lyria introduced them. "These are my sisters, my soulmates, my other selves. We were born from one energy. We live, we love, together." Velra stepped forward. "So you're the human who thinks he can break our bond?" Jason frowned. "I never said that, but you thought you could take Lyria alone, like she's yours. I didn't know. I'm just trying to understand." Syra looked at him, her eyes deep like a dark ocean. Then she finally spoke. "You will understand, or you will break." That night, Jason sat alone outside the base, staring at the stars. What had he gotten himself into? He loved Lyria. That hadn't changed. But this bond, this shared soul, it was something he couldn't explain or escape. Lyria joined him. "I'm sorry," she said. "I wanted to tell you earlier, but I was afraid." Jason nodded. "Do you feel what they feel?" "Yes, we always have. Joy, pain, love. It moves through us, like wind in 3 trees. Can they hear our thoughts?" "No," she smiled. "Not unless I let them." He looked at her. "And do you want to marry me?" "Yes," she said, "but only if you understand what that means. I want to try." Suddenly, an alarm rang out. Energy spike detected near the base. A voice shouted. Valra rushed in with her armor. "It's not us. Someone else is watching." Syra touched the wall and whispered, "We are being hunted." Jason grabbed his weapon. "Who would hunt you. Lyria looked pale. Those who feared the unity. Those who tried to separate us when we were children. Jason didn't fully understand, but he knew one thing. He wasn't just marrying one woman. He was stepping into something far bigger. A bond, a war, a love that was not normal, not human, and whatever was coming next. He was not ready, but he had no choice. The next morning, Kaysen stood in front of the great silver gates of the House of Triunity, the sacred home of the Zillaron royal triplets. He had been invited inside not as a guest, but as a test subject. Guards opened the doors without a word. Inside, glowing lights floated in the air. Strange symbols pulsed on the walls. Everything felt alive, almost like the house was watching him. Lyria stood waiting near the center, her hands folded. Beside her stood Velra, dressed in armor, and Syra, silent as always, eyes half closed like she was listening to another world. Jason took a deep breath. I came, just like you asked. Velra stepped forward. You said you want to marry Lyria, but Lyria is one part of us. We are a soul split in three. If you marry her, we will all feel it. Jason nodded slowly. I know. I'm trying to understand. Velra's eyes narrowed. Okay. Then understand this: if you hurt her, we bleed. If you lied to her, we know. Okay. If you betray her, we will end you. Her voice was not loud, but it echoed with power. Jason looked at Syra. And what about you? Do you feel the same? Syra didn't answer. She simply stared at him. Then, softly, she spoke. You do not know who we are, but we know what you are. A human, weak in mind, strong in heart, dangerous when loved. Her words sent a chill through him. Lyria stepped in quickly. Enough, sisters. Let him try. We must give him the chance. Velra crossed her arms. Then he must face the trial of insight. Jason looked confused. What's that? Lyria explained. It's a test of the mind, a journey into our soul. You will enter our bond, see what we see, feel what we feel. If you survive, you will understand us. Jason hesitated. And if I fail, Syra whispered, then your mind will break like glass. Jason's heart pounded, but he nodded. I'll do it. That night, in a round chamber covered in glowing roots, the triplets stood around Jason. They held hands, forming a circle. Lyria reached out to him. Close your eyes, she said, and breathe. As Jason closed his eyes, he felt a soft warmth on his forehead. Then everything changed. He was no longer in the room. He stood in a wide, endless white space. It was quiet, too quiet. Then he heard voices, 3 voices, at the same time. Who are you? Why are you here? Do you love, or do you want? Jason looked around. The triplets stood in front of him, but they were younger now. Children, crying, afraid. He saw flashes memories. The triplets being pulled apart by scientists. Machines trying to cut their soul link. Screams, pain, darkness. Then he saw Lyria protecting her sisters, fighting off the pain, promising to never leave them. Jason stepped forward. I'm not here to separate you, Velra. Now, a child again, looked at him. But will you become one of us? Can you carry our pain? More memories rushed at him. He saw Syra sitting alone in the dark, listening to the stars. He saw Velra training with swords, covered in bruises. He saw Lyria crying quietly at night. Then saw something hidden, a dark figure, watching them, a shadowy enemy from their past. And then everything went black. Jason gasped as he woke up. He was back in the chamber, breathing hard. Sweat covered his face. The triplets looked at him in silence. You saw? Lyria asked. Yes, Jason whispered. I saw it all. You still want to marry me? She asked. He nodded. Yes, not just you. I understand now. It's all 3 of you. One heart, three souls, one bond. Velra studied him for a long time. Then, finally, she nodded once. Syra didn't say anything, but she placed her hand on his shoulder. Her touch was cold, but not unfriendly. Later that night, as Jason sat outside the house under the stars, Lyria joined him again. "You passed the first test," she said. Jason looked up. "First," she nodded. "My sisters are accepting you slowly, but something is wrong." "What do you mean?" "There is a shadow," she said, "in our bond. Something watching, something waking." Jason remembered the dark figure he saw in the trial. "I saw it too." Lyria looked worried. "That enemy tried to destroy our unity before. We thought it was gone, but now I think it's returning." Jason stood up. "Then we fight it together." Lyria smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Let's hope we're strong enough," she said quietly, "'cause if our bond breaks, I die." Jason stood at the center of a glowing circle inside the temple room. The walls pulsed with blue light, and a soft hum filled the air. The triplets had called it the Chamber of Fusion, a place where minds could connect, but only if the bond was strong enough. He had passed the first test, but this was different. "This test is not just to see," Lyria said softly. "This time you'll feel everything, our memories, our pain, our soul." Jason looked at her. "Will it hurt?" Velra, standing at the side, answered with a firm voice, "Yes." Syra didn't speak, but her eyes said it all. This was dangerous. This was real. Lyria stepped forward and placed her hands on Jason's temples. "Close your eyes. Let go of fear." Jason took a deep breath and did as she said. Suddenly, his body felt light, like floating in water. His heart raced. Everything around him turned dark. Then, light exploded, blinding and white. Jason found himself standing in an open space filled with stars, shadows, and memories. It felt like walking inside a dream, but deeper. It wasn't alone. Lyria appeared before him first, her eyes glowing. "This is our soul bond," she said, "but it changes with who enters." Jason nodded, still trying to keep calm. Then Velra appeared wearing battle armor, holding a glowing spear, and finally Syra appeared silent, floating above the ground, surrounded by swirling energy. "Show him," Syra whispered. The scene changed suddenly. Jason stood in a dark forest. 3 young girls, Lyria, Velra, and Ciro, were running, crying, their hands tied together. Behind them, tall alien scientists in black robes shouted orders. "Separate them. The fusion must end." "No," young Lyria screamed. "We are one." Jason could feel their fear. It wasn't just a memory, became his fear. His chest burned, his eyes stung. He saw the moment the triplets were forced into chambers filled with wires and machines. He heard their screams as the machines tried to break their soul link, but even through pain, they called to each other. Jason tried to move, to help them, but he was frozen, powerless. A watcher, then suddenly, boom. Everything broke apart into pieces, colors, sound, emotion, until all went silent. Jason now stood in a hallway of mirrors. Each mirror showed a different version of the triplets. In one, they were smiling and dancing together. In another, Velra stood alone, covered in blood. In another, Syra was crying in a cold room, whispering to herself. In one mirror, Lyria stood with Jason, but her eyes were empty, as if something was missing. "What is this?" Jason asked. Lyria's voice echoed. "These are pieces of us, our wishes, our fears, our future." Then the mirrors cracked, shattered. A loud voice filled the space. Deep, cold, unknown. "They belong to me." Jason turned. A dark figure stood at the edge of the soul space. It was tall, wrapped in black mist. No face, just a cold presence. "Who are you?" Jason shouted. The figure answered, "I am the Breaker. the one who was cast out, live in their pain. Jason saw black chains around the figures, hands each chain connected to a memory from the triplets' past. You've been hiding inside them, Jason said. Yes, the figure hissed, waiting for the right moment. Jason stepped forward. Leave them alone. But the figure laughed. You cannot stop me. You are just a human. One mind, one heart. Weak. Jason clenched his fists. May be one, but I have something. You don't? He reached out his hand. Suddenly, the triplets appeared behind him. Their eyes glowing bright, united. Together, we are not afraid, Lyria said. We are not broken, Velra growled. We are not yours, Syra whispered. The space lit up with bright white fire. The figure screamed. It burned, screamed again, and then disappeared in a blast of light. Jason fell to his knees. Lyria walked to him. You fought beside us. You felt everything, Velra said. You saw the truth, Syra added. Jason stood, weak but still, breathing. I understand now. You're not just three sisters. You're one soul, and that soul has been hurt, but it can still heal. Lyria smiled. Then you're ready? Jason looked confused. Ready for what? Velra answered. To stand with us in what's coming. Jason frowned. What's coming? Syra looked into the distance. Breaker is not gone. That was only a piece of him. The rest is waking. Jason woke up, gasping for air. He was back in the real world, lying on the temple floor. Lyria held his hand. You passed, she said gently. Velra handed him a cup of glowing water. Drink. You'll need your strength. Jason drank slowly. Kay could still feel the burning energy inside him. Syra placed 2 fingers on his forehead and whispered, Thank you. Jason smiled. I'm not afraid anymore. Lyria looked into his eyes. You shouldn't be afraid of us. But what comes next will test us all. The night was quiet. Too quiet. Jason woke up in his room inside the house of Triunity. He had strange dreams, again, dark places, cold voices, and shadows that whispered his name. But when he opened his eyes, something felt wrong. He sat up quickly. A strange chill passed through the walls. He couldn't feel Lyria's warmth or Velra's strength. It was like something important had gone missing. He opened the door and ran into the hallway. Lyria and Velra were already there, standing near the main gate. Syra's room was wide open and empty. She's gone, Lyria said, her voice shaking. She left in the night, Velra added, without a word, without a trace. Jason blinked. Gone. But why? Lyria looked down. We don't know, but something feels broken. Jason and the sisters searched every room, every hall, every garden in the house of Triunity. But Syra was not there. Her bond, the silent connection they always felt, was quiet now. She didn't just leave the house, Velra said. She left the bond. What do you mean? Jason asked. She has turned off the link, Lyria explained. It's rare, but possible. When one of us wants silence, she can shut the connection. But it's dangerous. It means something. It's very wrong. Jason clenched his fists. Could the dark figure, the breaker, be behind this? Velra nodded slowly. It's possible. Syra saw him inside our soul. Maybe he reached her. Jason took a deep breath. Then we have to find her. Using Syra's old tracking crystal, they followed her energy trail to a nearby desert planet called Ravenine. It was dry, lifeless, and full of old ruins once used by ancient scientists who studied alien minds and tried to control soul links. She came here for a reason, Lyria said, scanning the rocks. Maybe she's trying to separate. Separate from what? Jason asked. From us, Velra said. From the bond? From everything. They found broken machines scattered around the ruins. Some were still warm. Someone had used them recently then. Jason spotted her. standing at the edge of a cracked temple. Syra was looking at the stars, her long white hair flowing in the wind. Her eyes were no longer soft. They were cold, sharp. Syra, Jason shouted. She turned slowly. He followed. Me. Lyria stepped forward. Why, sister? Why did you run? Syra looked at all of them, then spoke with a voice filled with quiet pain. I'm tired of being 1/3 of a soul. I want to be me, just me. Jason took a step closer. But you, are you? You're not a shadow of them, Syra said. I'm always the quiet one, the silent one, the one who listens but never speaks. I feel things, but I don't share. I hear every thought they have, every heartbeat, every dream, and it's too much. Lyria's eyes filled with tears. Why didn't you tell us? You wouldn't understand, Syra said. You were always stronger, always louder. I just followed. Velra's face twisted in anger. So, you ran away, broke the bond, put us all at risk. No, Syra said calmly. I came here to find a way to end the bond. Forever. Jason froze. What? But, if you break the bond, Lyria, could she? Could die, Velra growled. Syra looked down. I know. That's why I haven't done it yet. Sadly, a deep voice echoed through the ruins. You are right, little soul. Break the bond. Be free. The air turned cold. The breaker appeared again, his black mist rising from the ground. He moved like smoke, like poison. Jason raised his weapon. You again. Yes, the breaker said. And I'm here for the one who wants freedom. Syra, join me, and I'll make you whole. No more voices. No more pain. Syra stared at him. Lyria shouted, Don't listen to him. He lies. The breaker laughed. Do I? I offer her peace, and you offer her prison. Velra pulled her blade. Come closer, and I'll cut that shadow into dust. Jason walked up to Syra. Slowly, carefully. You don't have to choose him to find yourself. You're already strong. You're already real. Syra's eyes softened. She looked at Lyria. At Velra. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I just wanted to feel like I matter. You do, Lyria said. You always did. We were just too loud to hear you. Jason held out his hand. Come home, Syra. Not as a piece, but as you. The breaker screamed in rage. No, she is mine. He moved forward, but before he could reach her, Syra raised her hand. Her power exploded with light. The ruins shook. A shadow screamed louder, and then vanished into the dust. Jason ran forward and caught Syra as she fell. Her body was weak, but her eyes were full of peace. I didn't break the bond, she whispered. Just found myself inside it. Back in the house of Triunity, Syra rested while Lyria and Velra stayed close. Jason sat beside her. You scared us. Syra smiled softly. I scared myself. Velra nodded. But you're still one of us. And now, maybe stronger than ever. Jason looked at all three sisters. Whatever happens next, we face it together, Lyria whispered. Together. Always. Days passed after Syra returned. The house of Triunity was peaceful again, but something had changed. The bond between the sisters was not broken, but it had been shaken. Everyone could feel it, especially Jason. Each sister stayed quiet in her own way. Lyria tried to smile, but her eyes were tired. Velra trained harder than before, as if preparing for a war that hadn't yet come. Syra spent long hours sitting alone, looking at the stars. She no longer wanted to run, but she was still lost in deep thought. Jason felt the weight of it all. He loved Lyria deeply, but now he understood loving her meant loving all three. They weren't just sisters. They were a shared soul, a connected force. And that bond was still healing. One evening, Lyria asked Jason to walk with her to the sky garden floating platform above the house, where clouds touched the floor and stars shined like diamonds. They sat in silence for a long time. Then, Lyria spoke. "Do you still want to marry me?" Jason turned to her. "Yes, but not if it hurts you or them." Lyria looked down. "I want to be yours truly, but our bond won't let me belong to just one person. If you take me, you take them too." Jason nodded slowly. "I know, but are they ready?" Lyria's voice became soft. "That's what we must find out." Later that night, Jason stood in the main chamber as all three sisters appeared before him. Lyria wore a white robe, glowing with soft light. Velra wore silver armor, holding a ceremonial blade. Syra was in black robes, holding a crystal heart that pulsed with energy. "This is the bonding ceremony," Lyria explained, "but it cannot begin until the choice is made." Jason raised an eyebrow. "What choice?" Syra stepped forward. "The bond can be changed. We can separate, just enough to give one of us freedom," Velra added. "That means Lyria could become fully yours, but the link between us would grow weak. If she is hurt, we may not feel it. If we suffer, she may not know." Jason's heart began to race. "Achi, and what happens to your connection then?" Lyria answered. "We would still be sisters, but not soulmates." Jason looked at each of them. "What do you want?" he asked. Velra looked away. "I want Lyria to be happy, even if it means losing part of her." Syra nodded. "I want peace, for all of us, not pain." Lyria stepped closer. "But the choice is not just ours, Jason. It's yours too. Will you marry me as part of us, or will you take me alone and break what we are?" Jason closed his eyes. He saw everything. The fear, the love, the unity, the pain. He saw Lyria's tears, Velra's strength, Syra's silence. They were more than sisters. They were one heart and three bodies. And suddenly, he knew what to do. He opened his eyes and said, "I choose all of you. Not just Lyria, not just one love. I want to stand with all three because I love what you are together." Silence filled the room. Then Lyria smiled. Velra looked surprised. Syra's lips curved into the smallest smile. "You understand?" Syra whispered. "You truly do," Velra added. Jason took Lyria's hand. "I don't want to change you. I want to grow with you, all of you." The ceremony began. The sisters formed a circle around Jason. Their hands glowed with light, and their bond opened wide, allowing Jason's energy to join them. For the first time, he felt everything. Lyria's joy, Velra's fire, Syra's depth. They all stood together, not as one and three, but as for hearts bound by choice. Suddenly, a crack of thunder tore the air. The chamber shook. Outside, red light flashed in the sky. Velra pulled her blade. "The enemy has returned," she said. Syra touched her head. "The Breaker is sending his army. He wants the bond destroyed before it becomes too strong." Lyria turned to Jason. "We must protect what we have, now more than ever." Jason held her hand tight. "Then let's fight together." The doors of the house opened, revealing the stars above an incoming storm of warships. The choice had been made. Now they had to defend it. The night sky above the house of Triunity turned red. Dozens of dark enemy warships appeared from the clouds. Their engines screamed as they moved through the air like giant shadows. Each ship carried weapons, strong enough to destroy a city. Jason stood beside the triplets Lyria, Velra, and Cyril, watching the sky. His heart pounded, but he did not step back. "They're here for the bond," Velra said, gripping her sword tightly. "They want to erase our connection." Syra closed her eyes. "The Breaker is behind this. He fears what we've become. He wants to tear us apart before we grow stronger." "Okay." Jason looked at Lyria. "Then we have to fight together." Lyria nodded. "Case, This is not just about love now, okay? This is about protecting who we are. Inside the house of Triunity, old defenses started activating. Light shields formed around the windows. Hidden turrets rose from the ground. Blue energy pulsed through the walls. The triplets stood in the center of the power chamber, hands joined. Jason stepped into the circle. "We must link fully," Lyria said. "Mind, body, and soul. You must trust us. Let us inside." Jason took a deep breath and nodded. "I'm ready." A beam of white light surrounded them. Jason felt himself floating, his body light, his heart open. The triplets' thoughts entered his mind, gently and clearly. He saw Lyria's courage, Velra's fire, Cyrus' calm darkness. They saw his memories to his childhood, his pain, his love for them. No secrets remained, no lies, no fear. In that moment, they became one. Their eyes opened at the same time. A new energy flowed through them. Jason's body felt stronger, faster. The triplets' bond was now connected to him like a fourth thread. Lyria whispered, "The unity bond is complete." Velra smiled. "Let's show them what it means." Outside, the enemy ships began to fire. Bright red lasers struck the ground. Near the house, explosions shook the earth. The shields held for now. Jason and the triplets moved outside, glowing with power. They looked like stars walking among shadows. The enemy soldiers, dark figures with no faces, ran forward. They were the creations of the Breaker, T-shells filled with hate. Velra charged into them with her sword blazing, cutting through them like fire through paper. Jason fired energy blasts from his hands, surprised by the new strength he had gained. Lyria used her voice to create waves of light that pushed enemies away, and Syra lifted her hands into the air, bringing down a storm of blue fire. Still, more enemies kept coming. Hundreds, thousands. Jason breathed hard. "There's too many," Syra said calmly. "Then we must go deeper into the bond." Lyria placed her hand on Jason's chest. "Are you ready to fully merge?" Jason didn't hesitate. Yes. They joined hands again, and this time the light around them became blinding. Therefore minds became one. They moved as a single being, faster, smarter, stronger. Jason didn't need to speak to them anymore. He could feel what they needed. He could protect what mattered most. The enemies began to fear. Their attacks became wild. Their formation broke. But then it came. The sky turned black. A giant shadow fell from the sky. The Breaker himself appeared twice as tall as before, his body made of smoke and dark fire. His voice shook the world. "You fools. Unity is a lie. Love is weakness." Jason stepped forward. "No. Love is the reason you're afraid. Unity is the reason we're strong." The Breaker roared, then died together. He threw a blast of pure darkness toward them. The triplets and Jason held hands and blocked it with a wall of white light. The ground cracked. Mountains shook, but they stood strong. Jason felt the energy fading. Their bond was strong, but not endless. "He's draining us," Lyria said. "We need more power," Velra growled. "There is one way," Syra whispered. "The final merge." Jason looked at them. "What happens if we do it?" Lyria answered. "We don't know. We may become one forever. We may never return to our separate selves." Jason looked into their eyes. "I don't care. If it saves you, saves us, it's worth it." They joined hands again, one last time, and then they merged. Their bodies rose into the air. They became a being of pure light, one shape, one soul. Half human, half Solarian. It's a creature of love and unity. The Breaker tried to strike again, but this time the light burned him. He screamed as cracks formed in his shadowy body. The white energy entered him not to destroy him, but to show him what connection feels like. He couldn't take it. With one final scream, the breaker exploded into dust. The sky cleared. The ships vanished. The war was over. Slowly, the light faded. Jason and the triplets fell to the ground, separate again, but changed forever. They were weak, but alive. Lyria opened her eyes first. We did it. Jason smiled. Together. The war was over. The sky above the house of Triunity was now clear, filled with soft stars and peace. The ruins had stopped shaking. The fires were gone. And the breaker, the shadow that haunted the triplets all their lives, had vanished like dust in the wind. Jason sat beside the triplets in the healing chamber. They were tired. Their faces were pale. But they were safe. Lyria rested her head on his shoulder. Velra sat beside them, her sword placed quietly on the floor. Syra lay back with her eyes closed, breathing softly, a peaceful smile on her face. Jason looked at all three of them. I didn't know love could feel like this, he whispered. Lyria smiled. Neither did we. In the days that followed, the world began to heal. The bond between the triplets grew even stronger. It was no longer just something they were born with, it had become something they had chosen, protected, and shared with someone new, Jason. They were no longer just three sisters connected by energy. Now, there were four hearts, one bond, each different, each important. Syra, once quiet and hidden, now spoke freely. Her voice was soft, but full of meaning. Velra, once the fighter, now trained others how to protect, not just with weapons, but with love and loyalty. Lyria, still the heart of them all, guided them with her wisdom and kindness. And Jason, he became more than just a human. He became family. One evening, Jason and the triplets returned to the Sky Garden, the place where so much had started. The stars above were brighter than ever. Jason turned to Lyria, holding her hand. I asked you once if you'd marry me. That question still stands, but now I ask all three of you. He looked at Syra and Velra. Will you let me be part of your bond, not just through battle or pain, but for life? Velra smirked. Even after all this, you're still brave. Syra nodded slowly. You've seen our light and our darkness, and you stayed. That means everything. Lyria's eyes sparkled with tears. Yes, Jason, we choose you, just as you chose us. The wedding was unlike anything ever seen. It took place in the heart temple of Zalara, under a sky that shifted colors with the emotion of the couple. Light spirits danced in the air. Flowers opened as they walked past. Every part of the planet seemed to smile. Jason wore silver robes with glowing patterns gifted by the royal council. The triplets stood beside him, each wearing a color that matched their Solyria in white, Velra in red, Syra in deep blue. Instead of rings, they shared soul mark symbols drawn on each of their hands, glowing when they touched. When the vows were spoken, the bond lit up across the stars. The galaxy watched. Leaders from other worlds spoke of the wedding for years. Some feared it, others admired it. But all agreed something powerful had happened. It was more than a human marrying an alien. It was a symbol that love could grow between worlds, that unity could be chosen, not just born. Years passed. Jason and the triplets became legends. They traveled to help other broken bonds across the galaxy, guiding, teaching, protecting. They wrote books, built peace stations, and helped the galaxy understand what love beyond one really meant. And through all the adventures, all the trials, their bond never broke. Sometimes they laughed. Sometimes they cried. Sometimes they fought, like all families do. But they never gave up on each other. One day, long after the breaker was gone, Jason sat by a lake with the triplets beside him. Children ran through the fields nearby. Their children brighted and full of energy, each one carrying a part of all four souls. Jason watched them play and whispered, "I thought I'd just fall in love with one person. But I found something so much more." Lyria smiled. "You found your place," Belra added. "Your purpose." Syra touched his hand. "You're forever." Jason closed his eyes and smiled, feeling their warmth in his heart. And he knew he had not just found love, he had found a home.